Well, next up is some late breaking news on the day that I'm recording this, at least. Um, so that is Viola Davis is going to be returning to the character of Amanda Waller for a Peacemaker spinoff series on HBO Max. To which I'm just going, oh, so we're getting a spinoff of the spinoff. All right, I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. I'm also thinking, is this the show that James Gunn was referring to? Because in the last few episodes of Peacemaker, leading up to the finale, fans asked him on Twitter, it's just like, "Are you doing more stuff with DC? Are you doing more stuff with HBO Max?" And he's like, "Yes, we're thinking about doing another show involving another character from the Suicide Squad." I put my money on Ratcatcher just because that was a central character of Suicide Squad. There's not a whole lot of backstory to that character that you're like hard and fast to. You can have some flexibility with it. But Amanda Waller is an interesting one. I don't see it being an Amanda Waller origin story, but I wouldn't completely rule it out either. I think it's interesting that Viola Davis is coming back. I think that's great. I love her Amanda Waller, both in Suicide Squad and The Suicide Squad. She will also be brought back as an executive producer on the show, so I wouldn't be surprised if she's more hands-on in the creative process. If I had to put money on it, I think the name brand Suicide Squad is dead because the first one got some mixed reception to it. The Suicide Squad, as much as this is my favorite DC movie so far in the DCEU, it flopped colossally. Blame it on the pandemic, blame it on confusion over the original movie, blame it on the day and date release, whatever you want to blame it on it. As great as the movie is, it bombed financially at the box office. So I wouldn't be surprised if the name The Suicide Squad is a little bit tarnished for the time being. However, if you want to take the character of Amanda Waller and still kind of have the basic premise of the Suicide Squad of a group of individuals go on special government assigned missions, there's an app for that, so to speak. The Secret Six. It's different from the Sinister Six, unfortunately. But the Secret Six is essentially just that. Amanda Waller sends people out on missions. This was never confirmed by anybody, especially James Gunn. He's just like, no, that's wild, rampant speculation. But there was talk for a little bit of Bane being introduced in Peacemaker. Obviously, that never happened. It's probably for the best. But Bane was a member of the Secret Six at one point or another. Obviously, you can probably change up the roster here. I wouldn't be surprised if they're ditching the name Suicide Squad for a bit and they're migrating over to a Secret Six show. And then James Gunn can kind of handpick the people that are in the Secret Six, whether it's Vigilante, Peacemaker, throw in a couple other oddball names. Hey, they mentioned Batmite. Throw in Batmite to a Secret Six show. I would absolutely love it. Just do it. I think this is interesting. I'm very much okay with it. I also find it interesting that they announced this. While we'll talk about it a little bit here, everything else with the name DC on it is more or less marked for death if you're not already in active production. So are we just going to continue on with the James Gunn stuff, which is probably a smart idea because it's one of those things that actually got really well received by critics and audiences. Unfortunately, it didn't do well financially at the box office, but if you put it just to HBO Max, not a bad idea, I don't think. So my money's on Secret Six. However, I would not be surprised if it's an Amanda Waller show, but I don't see that as likely, just like her being the main character. Maybe it's like we weave in some narratives about her and Adebayo, and the kind of awkward family dynamic there, because spoiler alert for Peacemaker for those that didn't watch it. Excuse me. For those that didn't watch it, Adebayo basically kind of ruined her mom's life at the end of Peacemaker, exposing everything. So we said it after that. What's the fallout of that? Clearly, there can't be a Suicide Squad anymore. Maybe Waller does something completely off books to try and still get people under her thumb. A lot of interesting possibilities here. I'm just happy to see Viola Davis is coming back. I think she's a phenomenal talent. I trust James Gunn a lot. Just bring back John Cena, whatever capacity it is, because that man was fantastic in Peacemaker, and I would like to see more of the world that James Gunn was clearly fleshing out, even if it was just full of random obscure references. I appreciated it.